I think I'm doing better now, you know? I think at the time when I found out, you know, at the same time as the rest of the world, that my marriage was ending in divorce, I was gutted.
Jeannie Mai opens up about her split from Jeezy, admitting she felt gutted.
We all thought their love story was the calm after the storm. Two grown adults in their 40s, fresh out of long relationships, finally finding something that looked healthy. But right now, Jeannie Mai and Jeezy aren't just separating, they're tearing down the image they built together. And the part that stunned everyone, Jeannie says she was used, blindsided, and betrayed by the man she restructured her entire life for. At first, this looked like your standard Hollywood split. Quiet filings, respectful statements, the usual "we grew apart." But that curtain didn't stay down for long. Because once Jeannie realized she wasn't dealing with heartbreak but with humiliation, she started speaking in a way that made the internet stop and listen. And now the timeline is finally catching up with the truth. Everything blew up on a random morning. Jeannie was doing press, promoting Jeezy's book, calling him her inspiration. She was still acting like a proud wife. And then, out of nowhere, she was served. No heads up, no conversation, just paperwork that had already been notarized months earlier. What made this even stranger was the source. It didn't leak from the blogs. It came straight from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
We all know what we want. We want to feel trusted. We want to feel loved. We want to feel safe.
The TV personality gets candid on the Jennifer Hudson show about realizing her marriage to the rapper wasn't going to end with a happily ever after.
That's how official it was. People close to Jeannie said she was shattered. She had no clue it was coming. And honestly, looking at the photos and posts from that same period, nobody else did either. Family trips, matching outfits, long captions about peace and partnership. But behind the scenes, Jeezy had been building his exit strategy like he was prepping for a quiet escape. Fans called him cold, others said it looked calculated. And Jeannie, she wasn't staying silent anymore. If you followed Jeannie since the Real, you know her story. Her first marriage ended with betrayal, her ex-husband cheating, getting another woman pregnant, leaving her questioning everything she believed about love. After that, she swore she was done. No more marriage, no kids, no giving someone the power to break her like that again. But then Jeezy walked in. Cool, calm, soft-spoken. He didn't rush her, he made her feel safe. In a 2019 interview, she even said getting to know him was one of the most beautiful experiences of her life. They had that movie-style first date, closed down a sushi spot, talked for hours, went salsa dancing after. She said that night alone lasted 8 hours and changed everything. So when he proposed less than 2 years later, she didn't hesitate. She married him, she gave up her stance on kids and had their daughter.
A source telling ET at the time, things haven't been great between them, but Jeannie was very surprised by Jeezy's move. The two share a 1-year-old daughter, Monaco, and just months before the split, there were no signs of trouble when Jeezy chatted with ET.
She broke every rule she set to protect her heart. That's why this cut so deep. It wasn't just a divorce, it was the collapse of the life she rebuilt from scratch. According to people close to her, Jeannie feels like she was used to polish Jeezy's image. Think about it. Right before the divorce, he released a best-selling book. He was leaning into a growth and healing persona. He was presenting himself as a family man, and she was doing interviews, praising him, promoting his work. And yet, during all those wholesome family photos and holiday posts, he had reportedly already signed the divorce paperwork. Months before filing, months before she even suspected anything was wrong. Some fans summed it up perfectly, saying, he convinced her to rebuild her life around him, then dipped once he got the image. When Jeannie realized that timeline didn't add up, that's when she got angry. Not crying on the floor angry, violated angry. And just when it seemed like Jeezy had no defense, his side pushed back hard. Sources close to him claimed he found flirty messages between Jeannie and Mario Lopez, her co-host and longtime friend. They suggested she was crossing emotional boundaries. Some blogs even claimed there were late-night texts and inside jokes that didn't sit right with him. Now, whether that's true or not, the timing raised eyebrows. Jeannie fires back with hints about betrayal. Suddenly, rumors about Mario start leaking. Then Jeezy posts a cryptic quote about truth not needing validation. To a lot of people, it looked like a narrative shift, a distraction, a way to make Jeannie look like the one who broke the marriage. Her rep eventually responded saying there was no infidelity and that the only thing Jeannie was guilty of was believing in someone who used her healing as branding.
I was going through things, and marriage ended in divorce, and it was kind of hard. So yeah, it's what I'm dealing with day by day, you know?
Jeezy filed for divorce in September after 2 years of marriage.
That line hit the internet like a thunderbolt. One of the most chilling parts of this whole situation happened months before the filing even hit the courts. In June, Jeannie traveled with Jeezy to Vietnam. She showed him where she grew up. She shared her culture, her roots, her childhood stories. She talked about how spiritual and emotional that trip was. People went back and rewatched those vlog clips and photos, her glowing, him smiling beside her. But here's the kicker. Around that same time, the divorce paperwork was already notarized. It's one thing to fall out of love, it's another to smile through family trips while planning your escape. That's why fans said this didn't feel like heartbreak, it felt like strategy. She kept quiet at first, no messy interviews, no direct shots, no late-night posts hinting at revenge. For weeks, she carried herself like someone trying to process the breakup privately, even while the internet dissected every move she made. But eventually, she sat down for a calm, intimate podcast appearance. No glam squad, no dramatic setup, just her, a mic, and a host who actually knew how to listen. When the host gently asked how she was holding up, Jeannie didn't deflect or rush into a polished answer. She took a breath, looked down for a moment, and then said in a voice that was steady but tired, "Love without respect isn't love. You can build a home with someone, but if they see you as temporary, you were never home to them." The clip spread across social media like wildfire. It wasn't loud or dramatic. That's what made it hit so hard. Women started stitching it with their own stories. Comment sections filled with people saying the line made them realize things about their own relationships, their own boundaries, their own heartbreaks. And for the first time in this whole situation, it felt like the public tide was shifting. People weren't just watching her as a celebrity going through a divorce anymore. They were watching her as a woman finally speaking from a place she had tried so long to avoid.
Oh,
You know, Jeannie. Jeannie was
yeah.
our. How's she doing? How's everything?
Amazing.
How's
The
the
family's
baby?
great. Baby's big. She's walking all over the house.
Yeah.
She's calling me daddy now, so we there.
Okay.
Yeah.
The place where you admit the hurt out loud. It didn't clear up the rumors, it didn't fix the timeline, but it did something else. It reminded everyone that behind all the headlines and speculation, there was a real person trying to make sense of a blindsiding she never asked for. And that honesty resonated in a way no PR statement ever could. Jeezy responded the way he always does when things get messy, with that calm, polished interview tone he's mastered over the years. He sat there speaking softly about change, about protecting his peace, about outgrowing situations that no longer serve him. On the surface, it sounded mature. It sounded controlled. But to the public, it felt disconnected from the way things actually played out. Because peaceful people don't secretly plan divorces. They don't spend the summer taking family trips, smiling in photos and letting their partner brag about their book tour while they've already signed paperwork behind the scenes. And they definitely don't blindside the person who rebuilt her life around them with a court filing she never saw coming. And then his Instagram started talking. First, it was a black and white photo with the caption, "The truth don't need validation." The next day, he posted another line about letting go of whoever isn't coming with him. He didn't mention Jeannie by name, but nobody needed him to. The timing spoke for him. Fans saw those posts and immediately pushed back. They were confused at how he could be quoting wisdom about clarity and growth after making a move that felt anything but transparent. People kept pointing out that these weren't the words of someone who handled things with honesty. They were the words of someone trying to shape a narrative after the damage was already done. And that was the part that stuck with people. It wasn't anger, it was disbelief. He was talking like a man rising above drama, but the timeline told a different story.
And despite the heartbreak, Jeannie says she's learned how resilient she is.
Today, it's about picking up the pieces. It's about discovering me and being a mom to the best blessing in my life, my little girl.
The more he tried to present himself as calm and centered, the more it felt like he was hiding behind inspirational captions instead of acknowledging the way he walked out. It just didn't add up, and the internet wasn't shy about saying so. By this point, the split wasn't about lawyers or custody filings anymore. It had turned into something heavier, a quiet fight for dignity, public sympathy, and control over the narrative. Once the divorce went public, the internet turned into a full investigation team overnight. Old clips from the reel started resurfacing. People replayed interviews frame by frame, searching for signs that something had been off long before the announcement. Fans went down rabbit holes comparing timelines, analyzing social media patterns, and digging through comments both of them probably forgot they even posted. And the shift was wild to watch. Supporters who once celebrated their love story suddenly didn't know whose side to take. Some people defended Jeezy because of his calm tone and polished interviews. Others stood behind Jeannie because her pain looked raw and unfiltered. And then there was a whole group who didn't trust either of them, convinced that both were hiding pieces of the truth. Through all of this, both of them stayed mostly silent, but the silence felt like its own statement. Jeannie unfollowed him, a tiny action that sent shockwaves through her fan base. She archived a few couple photos. Her captions shifted from soft positivity to guarded reflections about loyalty and clarity. Meanwhile, Jeezy stepped out in public with a blank expression, dressed like a man who made his decision months ago and wasn't looking back. He didn't say much, but the quotes he posted said plenty.
I really got to know him off of just our first date. Let me tell you about this, because we're grown, we're in our 40s, and what I think is that God somehow managed our timing so that we spent time after our long-term relationships, we both came from 10-year relationships, and we really worked on ourselves to really understand what healthy love is like.
Short, cold lines about truth and growth that felt more like warnings than wisdom. Their feeds became battlegrounds. Her posts filled with encouragement and people telling her she deserved better. His comments turned into debates, with fans arguing over whether he was protecting his peace or dodging accountability. But underneath all the noise, there was something harder to ignore. Their daughter's earliest years were being overshadowed by a public storm. Neither of them seemed willing or maybe able to calm. What used to be sweet moments of family life, birthdays, milestones, simple father-daughter pictures, suddenly carried tension even when posted without context. Every photo looked like people were reading between lines that weren't meant to be there. And that's when it became clear the fallout wasn't just hurting them individually, it was reshaping the image of the family they spent years trying to present. The same family people once admired was now becoming a case study in how fast love can unravel when trust disappears. When Jeannie posted that video of her playing with Monaco, just sunlight, grass, and her voice saying, "You don't lose yourself when someone leaves you. You lose yourself when you stop believing you deserve better." Something shifted across the entire internet. It didn't feel like a clapback. It didn't feel like PR. It felt like a woman finally exhaling after holding her breath for months. For the first time since the split broke online, she didn't look heartbroken or overwhelmed. She looked steady, grounded, like she'd finally stopped trying to hold together a version of her life that wasn't real anymore. People noticed immediately. The comment section turned into a wall of support, women sharing their own stories, single moms telling her she'd inspired them.
So he asked me out on a date, right? And I was like, okay,
Where
cool.
did you meet?
He's got his ways, dude. He hooked me. He was
Wait,
like,
so he
but you
seeked
know what?
you
I'll
out?
tell you this. We met here on this set, but you gotta hear the story from him because what he said still knocks me away today.
Fans saying they hadn't seen her look this peaceful in years. Even people who'd been neutral started taking her side. Not because of drama, but because the video felt honest in a way nothing else in this breakup had. And what made it powerful wasn't the visuals, it was the silence. No glam team, no studio lighting, no cryptic quotes or indirect messages. Just a mother, her daughter, and the realization that she was finally choosing herself. For months, everything around this divorce had been noise, interviews, rumors, timelines, finger-pointing. But that clip cut through all of it, and you could almost see the emotional weight falling off her shoulders. After that, everything about her shifted a little. Her posture, her tone, even her smile. She didn't look like she was trying to prove she was okay anymore. She looked like she actually was. And that's when the internet realized this wasn't the same Jeannie who got blindsided months earlier. This was someone who had been cracked open, stood back up, and decided she wasn't going to carry the blame for a story she didn't write. People aren't obsessed with this divorce just because it's celebrity drama. It hit a nerve because it exposed the gap between love that grows and love that's performed for an audience. For years, they looked like the couple that finally got it right. Two adults who'd lived, learned, healed, and came together at the perfect time. That's why the internet celebrated them so hard. They represented hope. They made people think, see, it's never too late to find something real.
I still don't. This is the first day we met, right? So then we went on a date.
No, it was before that.
Well, there was another, yes. So you gotta ask him, right?
Lonnie got the deets.
Check this out, you guys. I walk in on my date, sushi, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I asked the host, I'm like, is there a Jeezy here?
So when the truth started unraveling, it wasn't just surprising. It felt personal. Jeannie thought she'd healed into the kind of woman who could choose better. Jeezy thought he'd grown into the kind of man who could love better. And both of them leaned into that storyline, publicly and confidently. But when you strip away the interviews, the coordinated outfits, the family photos, and the Instagram captions, what you're left with are two people who wanted the image of a healed relationship more than they understood the work it takes to sustain one. Whether you side with Jeannie or Jeezy, one thing is clear: this wasn't just a breakup. It was the collapse of a brand both of them helped build. People watched the marriage rise in real time. Now they're watching the fall in real time. And that's why it's everywhere, because it's a reminder that even the most polished couples can be standing on cracks. Sometimes the prettiest relationships hide the ugliest endings. And sometimes the strongest we made it stories turn out to be the most fragile. So what do you think really happened behind the scenes? Was this a case of two people growing apart? Or was someone playing a role until it stopped serving them? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more deep dives like this, make sure you subscribe. See you in the next one.